What would happen if every FBS college football conference was realigned? Well, today we're going to be doing exactly that. This realignment will be based off the team's geographical location on the map. Here's a quick preview of all of the new conferences. Pause the video now if you want to see the full list of the new conferences. But we got new conferences such as the Great Mideast, Great Midwest, and Deep South. This should shake up college football pretty well. Will is completely change up college football. Watch until the end of the video to find out what happens. Here we go, guys. I have now made all of the conferences in NCAA 14. Here's the conference outlook before we start the season. Ohio State, Michigan, and Michigan State are looking to lead the Big Ten. Clemson, NC State, and Wake Forest at the top of Conference USA. Wisconsin for the Mid-American Conference. Oregon at the top of the Mountain West Conference with Fresno State somehow at 3. Utah looking to lead the Pac-12, and Georgia obviously leading the SEC. Alabama's at the top of the Sun Belt. Double P's, Pittsburgh, and Penn State at the top of the ACC. Texas A&M and Oklahoma for the American Conference. And finally, Notre Dame is looking to be on top for the Big 12. Well, guys, we're going to skip to about halfway through the season and see how things are going within the conferences. Currently, Michigan is 5-0. They've had a super easy schedule with the new conference. They played teams like Akron. So yeah, they've just had a pretty easy schedule. Let's go ahead and check out all of the conferences. Looks like Alabama's having a pretty easy schedule as well. So let's take a look at the ACC first. And it looks like Temple is on top as they are 5-0. Not expecting that, I'm going to be honest. Penn State number 2, 6-1. Looks like Boston College number 3. Yeah, this is like a pretty interesting conference, to be honest. James Madison's in here, Maryland. Yeah, Temple, I was not expecting them to be at number 1. American Conference, it looks like Texas is up top, Oklahoma State behind them, UTEP. Here's just a quick look at everything. Oklahoma's down at 11. Let's take a look at the Big 12 here, and it looks like Tennessee's on top. They're 5-0 in their conference so far. Louisville, 3-0, undefeated in the conference as well. 6-0, undefeated. West Virginia at number 3. Vanderbilt, Illinois, Kentucky, Marshall. Notre Dame's doing pretty bad, though. Look at that, 1-4 in the conference. I'm surprised about that. Jeez, that's pretty bad. And then Northwestern is last. I mean, what do you expect? Gotta be honest. It's Northwestern. Take a look at the Big Ten here. Michigan on top, 3-0 in the conference, undefeated. Kent State also undefeated in their season, but 1-0 in the conference. Ohio State, number 3, Michigan State, number 4. And well, here's the rest. Akron, Purdue. Purdue's pretty low. They're 0-1. We got NC State at the top, undefeated in the conference, 3-0. East Carolina, 2nd. South Carolina is 4-1. Got Clemson at 4. North Carolina at 5. This is a pretty stacked conference, I'm not gonna lie. This is pretty similar to their old conference as well. Appalachian State is at the bottom of the conference. MAC Conference. Kansas State at top, 2-0 in the conference. Wisconsin, 2nd. Eastern Michigan at the bottom. Minnesota, though, is doing pretty bad as well. Kansas at 7. We got USC at the top of this one. They're undefeated in conference play. Washington, 2nd. Stanford, 3rd. Yeah, USC is balling out, though. And it looks like Nevada hasn't won a game in the conference so far. Pac-12, Air Force is at the top. They're undefeated in conference play as well. Colorado is also undefeated in conference play. Utah is not doing as well as I thought they would. They're 2-2 in conference play. Yeah, New Mexico's at the bottom. Now the SEC, this is a pretty good conference right here. This is all the southern teams basically. Georgia, 5-0 in the conference. What do you expect? They're also undefeated in their season. We got UAB, 3, pretty good. A little unexpected there. Miami behind them. Looks like Florida and Florida State. And USF's at the bottom. I liked this Sun Belt division here. We got Alabama on top, of course. They're 5-0. They got a pretty decent schedule as well, like pretty easy for them. Tulane, 2nd. There you go. LSU's a little behind, 3-2 in conference play. Louisiana Tech's at the bottom. They haven't won a game in their conference. So let's skip ahead to the end of the seasons and see who's going to be playing in the conference championships and who's going to be winning. We'll see. Let's skip to then. Michigan has had the easiest schedule of their life so far, and they have cruised through the season easily in this new conference. However, their most difficult game is their last game as they're going up against number 1 Ohio State. Both teams are undefeated. Let's get through this game and then check out the conferences. Michigan did end up getting the rivalry win over Ohio State, which brings them on top of the conference at 8-0. They were undefeated the whole season. Ohio State finished 2nd at 7-1 in the conference. Cincinnati was 3rd. I was not expecting that. That's kind of crazy. They were 7-1. They had a solid season this year. They were 10-2. Michigan State at 6-2. They finished 4th. Purdue 5-3 in the conference. Let's see who finished last in the Big Ten, and it looks like it's Akron. They didn't win a single game in the conference play. The ACC conference, Syracuse leading them currently. Syracuse is in the lead currently. They are 6-2 in the conference. Same with Boston College. They finished with the same records. Penn State did not win the conference here. They finished 5-3 in conference play. Temple was on top before, but they kind of fell off. This was an interesting conference. Navy finished last year. TCU is actually on top now in the American Conference at 7-1, but Texas is also 7-1. Oklahoma State number 3, Houston at 4, Baylor at 5, Texas A&M didn't do so well. Same with Oklahoma. Texas State ended up getting last. Tennessee undefeated in the Big 12. West Virginia, however, though, got second. Wow, they were 8-1 in their conference. That's pretty good. Not expecting that really. Louisville did okay. Same with Kentucky. Notre Dame though didn't do very well at all. They were 3-6 in the conference. Northwestern didn't end up losing. NC State at the top of this conference, 8-1. North Carolina, then Clemson. So this was a close top 3 basically. Kansas, wow, they're on top of Kansas State here so far. They're both 7-2 in the conference. Same with Wisconsin. That was close. This was a close one here. Eastern Michigan was 1-8 though. USC was also undefeated. Same with Washington. Both 8-0. UCLA didn't do so good. Utah at the top of the Pac-12, 7-2. Boise State number 2. Colorado though number 3. The SEC, Georgia didn't go undefeated in conference play. They were 7-1. UAB though, they're in second right now, 6-2. Wow, over Florida and UCF, Florida State and Miami. Georgia Southern though 1-7. Sun Belt here, Alabama 8-0, and then Tulane at number 2 right now, 6-2. LSU did okay. So here is all the conference championships here. Ohio State versus Michigan, Big 10. Kansas State versus Kansas in the MAC. Tennessee versus Illinois here. Sun Belt is Tulane versus Alabama. We got Wake Forest at NC State here. SEC is UAB at Georgia. So UAB not expected there. Texas versus TCU. Washington versus USC. Army versus Syracuse. Boise State versus Utah. Yeah, those are all of them. Here's all the results and who won each conference, and it looks like Ohio State ended up beating Michigan 35-17, so they won the Big 10. Kansas State beat Kansas 34-17, so they won their conference. Tennessee won their conference against Illinois, obviously. I'm surprised Illinois made it that far. Alabama won the Sun Belt over Tulane easily. Wake Forest won their conference over NC State, actually though. They put up a very good fight right there. And it looks like the Georgia game versus UAB was not even close. However, still better than TCU did against Georgia, so congrats UAB. Texas beat out TCU 49-32. Washington beat out USC here, so this was a close game, 41-38. Army won their conference over Syracuse. Wow, the ACC, not expecting Army to win there really. Utah ended up winning the Pac-12 as well. Alabama is ranked number 1. Then Tennessee, then Ohio. Cincinnati, the highest unexpected team to be up here. Could be due to the conference they were in and the realignment of the conferences. They finished 12th. UAB though, they had a stellar season. Let's move on to the next season to see if anything changes at all. So guys, I basically just summed through everything, the whole season and the conference championships. So basically everything you see here is the final for the season. So Penn State looks to have won the ACC as they finished 8-1 in the conference. Syracuse, they were up there last year. Rutgers though, what a season for them. However, it could be due to the conference here. Oklahoma ended up winning the American Conference. They went undefeated in conference play. North Texas though, wow, they were 4th over Texas. In the Big 12, Tennessee won. They went undefeated 10-0 in the conference. Notre Dame finally did better than last season. Pretty sure last season they kind of sucked. Northwestern though, wow, what a season for them. That's kind of unexpected there. And in the Big 10, Ohio State won it all. But look at this, Toledo. Can't believe it. They got second over Michigan here. That is very unexpected. They went 7-1 in conference play. Cincinnati also did pretty well. Looks like North Carolina is going to go undefeated in this conference. South Carolina will come up in second. Then NC State and Wake Forest. Clemson didn't do that well this season, however. It looks like Appalachian State was last again. Kansas won it all. Wow. Good job by Kansas over Kansas State here as Kansas State got second. Central Michigan did pretty well as well. And Nebraska obviously didn't do as well as last season. And Eastern Michigan finished last, I think, for the second time. USC, I think they won again. I'm pretty sure they won in the first. And then Washington came up second. I'm pretty sure that was the exact same as last season. Oregon this time up here. Oregon State, UCLA, San Jose State did pretty well. But Washington State got last. In the Pac-12, Utah won. BYU at second. Arizona State at third. Arizona at fourth. And then Wyoming finished last. SEC, Georgia went undefeated the whole season. Then had Miami at second. Florida at third. Florida State State. This is a pretty stacked conference, I'm not gonna lie. UIB, however, didn't do as well as they did the first season. And finally, the Sun Belt, Alabama, like expected. I mean, they didn't really have any huge competition besides, I'd say, like LSU, but where even is LSU right now? Dude, they kind of sucked in this conference. 2-6 in conference play. Here's the final scores of everything. So it was Iowa State versus Kansas in the MAC championship, Tennessee versus Northwestern, Alabama versus Mississippi State, North Carolina versus Wake Forest, Georgia versus Florida State, Oklahoma versus Baylor, USC versus Oregon, Penn State versus Rutgers. That was a blowout right there. And then Arizona versus BYU. So yeah, guys, let me know what you thought of this and if this is kind of what you expected. But thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.